Diana DiZoglio, Democratic nominee for state auditor, is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. The state senator from the Merrimack Valley is one step away from holding statewide office. Will her years of experience on Beacon Hill seal the deal with voters or make her vulnerable to her opponent? The candidate is here. Let's go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR, everyone. I'm Ed Harding, along with News Center 5's political reporter Janet Wu. It's great to have you with us, and we're pleased to have Diana DiZoglio with us this morning. She is the Democratic nominee for state auditor. She currently represents the 1st Essex District in the state Senate. She's from Methuen, graduate of Wellesley College. It's great to have you here. Can you believe we're halfway through October already?
It's before you know it, Election Day.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Just a few weeks away. So as Ed said, you're a Democrat. Your opponent, Anthony Amore, says that if there's one office that requires a Republican the next 4 years, if it's the state auditor, if the other statewide offices and legislature are headed by Democrats. Why is he wrong about that?
Well, look, we need somebody independent in the auditor's office who has a proven track record of standing up and speaking truth to power, regardless of party affiliation. And I have that proven track record over the last 10 years. I actually have the most independent voting record in the state Senate, and that's a track record that I've held for years. As you well know, Janet, I have taken on my own Democratic leadership team on matters of transparency, accountability, and equity, going toe-to-toe with the former Speaker of the House on the abuse of taxpayer-funded non-disclosure agreements, which cover up misdeeds by powerful politicians and others to silence potential victims of harassment, discrimination, and abuse. Again, using our tax dollars to do so, going toe-to-toe with my own leadership team. And I've also challenged this Republican administration as well on many fronts, challenging the incumbent governor on issues pertaining to the Holyoke Soldiers Home tragedy, the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund overspending by $2.6 billion, issues pertaining to the MBTA, which desperately requires a safety audit. And that's actually something that I've committed to do as your next state auditor, start with a safety audit of the MBTA.
Suzanne Bump is a longtime Democrat. She has been an elected official. She served in cabinets. Do you think she's kept Democrats accountable? Or
Yes,
could she have done a better job?
I think that Auditor Bump has done a tremendous job. Look, we don't agree on every single issue. I was not the first choice during the Democratic primary, but I do have her support in this race now. We've certainly had differences of opinion, but Auditor Bump has done some tremendous work as it pertains to issues surrounding, for example, pilot reform in the state of Massachusetts, where municipalities are not actually seeing their fair share of reimbursements from the state to be able to fund their local public safety departments, education departments, their transportation departments. She actually just came out with a great report that talked about the unfunded mandates in Massachusetts and how there's to the tune of $1.2 billion that actually our communities, our cities and towns are actually not receiving in reimbursements from the state that they should be regarding these unfunded mandates. That puts a tremendous burden on not just the mayors and city councilors and school committee members in our communities, but also the taxpayers locally who have to shoulder the burden of the state not meeting its required goals, its required commitments. So we need to make those we need to meet those commitments, and Auditor Bump has done a great job shining a light on the dark areas of state government, and I look to build upon that work with what can be found on my website, which is my social justice and equity audit plan, in which I talk about making sure we're looking at analyzing and reporting on issues ranging from housing to mental health services and addiction services to educational services to looking at the Department of Children and Families and to looking at things like even climate change.
Your opponent is a former federal investigator, and just on the surface, that is a skill that's key to being an effective state auditor. It's just a life skill that would help in being an auditor. What skills do you bring to the table to be that would make you a better auditor?
Well, I'm a former small businesswoman. I actually was chief of staff to the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts, helping to manage that organization as well. But I've been a senator for the last few years. I was a state representative before that. I'm serving in my 10th year in the legislature now, having gone line by line in that state budget, having already demonstrating my willingness to take on the Beacon Hill establishment and hold state agencies accountable, understanding those state agencies and how they operate. That is an incredibly important, those are incredibly important tools that are needed in our next Chief Accountability Officer for the state of Massachusetts. And as we know, the auditor is the Chief Accountability Officer for the state of Massachusetts. She's not sitting in some back room counting beans. What she's doing is managing that office and making sure to stand up, hold state agencies accountable, and shine a light on the dark areas of our state government. And that is the experience that I bring to the table.
Well, speaking of that, legislative leaders have accused Governor Baker of not bringing the $3 billion tax rebate to their attention until the very last minute towards the end of the legislative year in June. Does the state auditor share the blame since she, by law, is, asked to certify the rebate and how much it should be? Could she have stepped in? Is that something that you'll be paying more attention to if you are elected?
The current state auditor was not required by law to analyze and report on those funds coming back until actually after the deadline for the session was already over. She's required to do it on an annual basis. It certainly would have helped if we got information prior to those last minutes of the session, where I've been very clear. I think that these things should have never been punted to the last minute by legislative leaders. I think that
But as the state auditor, don't you think you have a responsibility, since you do have to certify it down the road, to pay attention to that and to bring it to people's attention? It is on her, on her bailiwick.
To your point, my plan that I've put forward as your next state auditor will be to make sure that I'm fighting for quarterly analysis instead of just one annual report on these issues. My recommendation, which I've actually released prior to this, is that because the DOER commissioner actually does quarterly reports on revenues coming into the state of Massachusetts that are then given to the comptroller's office, because the state auditor, along with other financial overseers in the state, meet quarterly with the comptroller's office on the comptroller's advisory board. My recommendation is that that advisory board quarterly review the revenues coming into the state, which is actually standard accounting practice. And if those things were being reviewed at these quarterly meetings, it's my opinion that this would have been caught in time. So certainly I do think that we need to bring the work of the auditor's office to the next level. And my recommendation is that instead of just doing it on an annual basis, which is what's required by law now, that we make it a requirement that these things are discussed quarterly to catch these things in time.
Next item I want to talk about are driver's licenses for undocumented residents. Originally, you opposed it. Where do you stand right now? Just for the record, where do you stand right now?
Oh, I support.
You support it. So now you support the bill to grant them state licenses. And so therefore, where do you stand on question 4? Should the law be repealed or remain on the books?
The law should not be repealed. I was proud to vote for it. And this is actually something that through the years, it took a lot of education for me to come to a place of understanding.
So what swayed you?
Well, I had talked to the advocates. I had talked to folks in our communities who were doing nothing more than to try to get to work and get to their health care appointments, who were trying to go through the process. And they were trying to do right by the system, but they weren't able to actually get to their meetings, get to work, get to their doctor's appointments. And after talking to the advocates, after talking to folks like the Mass Major City Police Chiefs Association, who said that this is a matter of public safety, certainly with the redrafted version of that bill, the final version that came before us, I was proud to support that, and I will absolutely be voting not to repeal that law to protect all working families in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts when I go to vote in the ballot box, and I hope others will join me.
You don't fear that that's a path for unregistered voters to be able to vote?
No, I think that that's a fear tactic that the opposition is leading the charge on, and the reality is that, again, you have the Mass Major City Police Chiefs Association having come out in support, saying that this actually protects and preserves public safety.
I think a lot of voters are paying attention not only to question 4, but also question 1. It perhaps is the most controversial question on the ballot next month. How will you vote on imposing an extra 4% tax on incomes that are over $1 million?
I support the Fair Share Amendment. I've been very vocal about this. Actually, I was the first elected official in my Senate district to actually sign the pledge that I would be voting to support this. Look, we have tremendous transportation and education needs. You see on the news all the time that the MBTA is literally catching on fire right now. Now, part of the reason why these things are happening is because there's been a tremendous lack of accountability and oversight of the MBTA, and we need additional accountability. So, like I said, I'll be starting with a safety audit of the MBTA and making sure that there's accountability across the board. But we also need to make sure that we have resources that we need to be able to invest in making sure that our transportation system is upheld and that it serves all residents, similar to our education here in the Commonwealth. All children, regardless of their family background, bank balance, or zip code, should be able to receive equitable access to a great education. Right now, that's not happening the way that it could and it should. If we get those resources, we'll be able to put those additional resources into the children in our communities and our transportation system.